I want to thank Ralph Pucci for being our host this evening. Thank you so much, Ralph. And I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. You know, the writing of the book was 4 years in the process. It was based on 40 years, if you believe it or not, 40 years of experience as a designer, educator, and a journalist. And as I look around the room today, by the way, I'm overwhelmed by this response. But as I look around the room, I'm seeing faces of colleagues and friends, people who I've known over the course of those 40 years. I'm seeing a lot of new faces as well. But as I look around the room, I'm seeing people like Candy Pratz. Where are you? Candy? Candy Pratz. I'm embarrassing her, I know. Too bad. An absolute legend in the industry. Thank you for all. Thank you for all that you have done. You have taken Bloomingdale's to another place. You have taken the industry to another place. You have been an inspiration to me, and your contribution to the book, unbelievable. Thank you so much. Where is Matthew? Matthew Yokoboski?
Right back here.
Where are you? You're hiding? Don't hide, Matthew. Matthew Yokoboski is the senior curator of fashion and material design at the Brooklyn Museum. If you have not seen an exhibition curated by Matthew, put it on your to-do list. No, put it on the top of your to-do list, because Matthew's work is absolutely stunning. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your wonderful contribution to the book. Rob Smith is here. Rob. Yes, a character. A lovable character. Rob is the genius, okay, behind the Fluid Project. And Rob, your contribution to the LGBTQ community, the non-binary community, has been astounding. You've given people, young people a safe haven. Thank you for that. Thank you for your amazing contribution to the book. I really appreciate it. On the academic side, is Dr. Roll here? Dr. Roll, Dr. Joanne Roll, is a champion of higher education, of entrepreneurship, of sustainability. I've had the pleasure of working with Dr. Roll, and Joanne, thank you for all of your support of the creative spirit. You have been a blessing to me. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Standing next to somewhere is Dr. Jacqueline LeBlanc. You're hiding. Dr. LeBlanc. Dr. Jacqueline LeBlanc and I worked together to create the very first 4-year BBA degree program in visual merchandising. Dr. LeBlanc, Jackie, thank you for being here. Thank you for your years of support, guidance, and mostly your friendship. James Chow, I think you're here. James, where are you? James Chow, his musical, Tenor by Night, is about to hit the silver screen, produced by none other than Rob Minskoff of Lion King. So when it hits the movie theater, I will be the first person in line to buy my ticket.
Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution to the book.
The long name for the movie is called Tenor by Night, Mannequin Man by Day.
You know, when I wrote the book, I dedicated it to the many visionaries who brought the mannequin to life. And some of them are here tonight. James Damien. Anybody knows James Damien, you know that when he speaks, jewels come out of his mouth. And James wrote the foreword to the book. James, thank you so much for the beautiful work and for your contribution to the book and to the community, for your inspiration. Judy Bell is here. Dear friend Judy Bell. Her book, Silent Selling, is in, I believe it's 7th edition.
I have to sign that contract yet, but 7th edition is coming.
Nobody has elevated the mannequin to an art form in the world. students, my former students are here tonight, I believe, and I'm so proud of them. They've gone on to careers of there she is, Gina at Bloomingdale's. Thank you for being here, and they've gone on to careers of their own, and I couldn't be prouder. So anyway, mannequins have been referred to as the quintessential silent salesperson. But you know what, there's so much more than just a fancy clothes hanger. They're works of art that move us every time we walk through the mall or down our favorite, or down a major retail corridor. They're works of art. And Profiles of the Mannequin goes beyond the history of mannequins. It's really an anthropological study of our culture. Mannequins represent our past, our present, and even our future. If you hold the mirror to the face of a mannequin, the reflected image would be us. And before I say another word, I also want to acknowledge my team, my colleagues from BMSD Magazine, Larry, Carly, Dina, and Emily for being here. Now I'm going to digress for just a minute, and I'm going to tell you a story. Our magazine, BMSD, was started by a guy by the name, and you might know this name, L. Frank Baum. Does that name ring a bell to anybody, L. Frank Baum?
Oh, yes, of course.
He wrote The Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
What does that have to do with visual merchandising and store design? 2 years before he wrote The Wizard of Oz, he created a publication called The Show Window that evolved into our magazine today. Now, what does he know about what we do? Well, he came about the time the department store came about. We didn't always have Macy's, we didn't always have Bloomingdale's. We had these great big stores with all this stuff in it. Nobody knew what to do with it. Along comes L. Frank Baum, a creative guy. He wrote The Wizard of Oz. He created a magazine called The Show Window that evolved into our magazine today. Now, as the founder of the magazine, he was sitting in his office. He looked across the room at his filing cabinet, and the first drawer was labeled A to N. You looked at the second drawer. What do you think that was labeled as?
M to Z.
O to Z.
Oh.
O to Z. And so he had the name of his magical kingdom. True story. L. Frank told it to me last week over coffee. But as I said, the book it's an anthropological study of who we are. Profiles of the Mannequin will take you on a journey through movements in art, in fashion, in design. Mannequins truly represent us and who we are. Now, before I sit down to sign any more books, by the way, I'm exhausted. I want to call out 3 people without whom this book never would have happened. And I'm going to sign their books. And the first one goes to Marcos Andrade. Unfortunately, Marcos couldn't be with us today because he lives in Sao Paulo. Couldn't quite make it. But without Marcos, this never would have happened. Marcos and I traveled the world together from Dusseldorf to Rio de Janeiro. One day, I think we were in Santiago, Chile, and Marcos turned to me and said, "You should write a book." I said, "Book?" He said, "Write a book." I said, "About what?" He said, "About mannequins, of course." I said, that's a good idea. And without Marcos, it never would have happened. So this book is for Marcos.
Nice.
The second book is for somebody without whom, like Marcos, the book never would have happened. You might know her as a millinery designer extraordinaire. I know her as my dearest friend and colleague, Marjorie Lee Wu. And as I said, the writing of the book was a journey, and in the journey there were peaks and valleys. And every time I hit a valley, Marjorie pushed me up the hill. She wouldn't let me quit, and I was going to quit. But without Marjorie, without Marcos, it never would have happened. This book is for you. No, that book is for Ralph.
Yeah, this one says Ralph.
I met Ralph Pucci in 1990 his father, Nick Pucci, another legend, was getting an award one night, the same night I was getting an award, and that's when Ralph and I met, fast friends ever since. Ralph has been a major support. We both supported one another. He's been a dear friend, and thank you again for this evening and this book, sir. Ralph, I met you that night at that reception for your dad, and I saved the brochure, and in it is a wonderful picture of your dad. Not so wonderful picture of me, but we were all young once. And I saved that all these years. Last night I tore my house apart, I couldn't find it. I will probably find it tonight as I go home, but when I do find it, it's
Thank you.
But also, Ralph, this is a token of Ralph, of my esteem, my adoration, everything you've done. If you guys will indulge me just for about a minute and a half, I'd like to read a short excerpt from the introduction to Profiles of the Mannequin, and then I'll sign some more books. And I'm happy to tell you, I'm blown away to tell you that Bloomsbury informed me that we're sold out. The book is on back order now. Its second printing has been ordered, which will be available October 10th. But we have plenty of books here. Let me just do this, a very short excerpt, if I have some light. Okay. Mannequins don't define our culture, but rather herald it and celebrate it. They reflect our values, traditions, and conventions. And while they never raise families of their own and appear to be socially disconnected, they in fact make a significant contribution to the social fabric and societal constructs of the times. Case in point, as societal awareness evolves, more attention is being given to issues of body diversity, race, and gender, rather than presenting idealized images of what has been perceived in the past to be the perfect body type. Moreover, as some may think of mannequins as symbols of dehumanization, it's quite the opposite. No, they are not a panacea for all that ails us, but rather a snapshot in time, providing a moment of relief and fantasy. And while conventional wisdom teaches us to seek authenticity over flights of fancy, mannequins, in all of their inanimate splendor, provide a temporary lull, a respite from the challenges of daily life. They give us hope. They allow us to dream. They permit us our aspirations. Mannequins are an art form, and just as in any great works of art, be it from the hand of Michelangelo holding chisel to stone, or the hand of Shakespeare holding quill to parchment, they convey reality through beautiful visions of fantasy. Thank you all for